Right, how are we looking in this frame here?
Sharp.
Looking good?
Real sharp.
Real sharp. How's the sound? Are they complaining yet? Comments already?
Hopefully
Down
it's
below?
better.
Maybe.
The microphone is... how many centimetres?
That's a good 12 inches.
12 centimetres maybe.
You reckon?
It's one beer glass. The microphone is this much closer.
Absolutely. And we're going to measure it with our penises very, very soon as well. Just to be...
On
doubly
camera.
sure.
YouTube will love that. Don't put this in. You're going to get demonetized.
I'll pixelate it.
Okay.
There probably won't be enough room in the frame.
It's windy.
Cyclone City, mate. It really has been. It's, like a couple of episodes ago we were talking about floods.
Now it's cyclones. Well, one.
I think this podcast we should shift from just talking about rugby to also just weather chat.
Yep.
You know, a lot of weather chat. I'll put a graphic there to show you where Gabrielle is right now. We were meant to record last night.
We were going to record last night, but it was... yeah. The government advisory said do not travel unless you absolutely have to travel, and as much as I would have liked to justify it...
And there was another little ploy though. You wanted to see me on Valentine's Day.
I did.
Yeah,
it is Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day here.
I didn't bring you any flowers, but I think my presence is enough.
I got you a couple of beers.
There you go.
How's that? Is
Yes.
that good?
Yes.
Oh. So Valentine's Day here in New Zealand. Tough few days for people of Northern Auckland, Hawke's Bay.
Even the Waikato at the moment.
Waikato. Yeah, Gisborne's getting absolutely hammered. Lots of people without power. Lots of people losing their livelihoods and all that sort of thing.
Roads
so if you're any of those
trees.
people, hopefully you can switch off for an hour or so and listen to I was about to say a couple of numbnuts talk about rugby. One numbnut and one knowledgeable person about rugby.
If you've got power and you're able to listen.
Yes.
Otherwise, you'll see this in a few days, I guess.
Hopefully a friend can actually send it to you via Morse code, which I think...
it'll be just as effective.
And if you are listening to it, you can listen to it on what platforms?
There are Spotify.
Yes, there is Spotify.
There's Google Podcasts, which
there
is a thing.
Stitcher.
Yes.
And iHeartRadio and all those other sorts of things.
I got word from my dad the other day, once again, that he said, I started listening to your podcast the other day, mate, but it's a bit long.
Didn't he say that about the first one?
He did. It hasn't changed his mind.
His feedback hasn't changed.
No, it's still
So
a bit long.
tell him to listen to it in the car. He doesn't spend a lot of time in the car. He goes to your house for dinner on Fridays.
Yeah, I guess. Mum drives. So
Right, really?
maybe that's it. I need to teach them how to get the old podcast apps going in the car.
Podcast apps.
They can use the
car.
GPS now, so that's almost the same thing. Pretty same skill set.
It's pretty impressive a boomer can do anything these days, really. Have you ever tried to, teaching a boomer how to use the Bluetooth function in their car? That can be an
I
experience.
suppose. I know I'm getting there though, because like the first time I got on Discord, I was like, oh geez, I don't know, I don't know what any of these buttons do. It's like the first one where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
The thing that I keep doing is I keep referring to our parents' generation as middle-aged.
Right.
And then it dawned on me recently. I was
Your mum is like 70 or 80.
Well, she's coming up 70 next year. I was like, shit, I'm middle-aged.
Yeah, exactly.
They're elderly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, so... Yeah.
I saw one of my old mates the other day, and we took a big trip, international trip, when we were both university graduates, and we worked out that it was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, mine was 20 years ago. I did my gap year and traveled in Europe for 6 months in 2002.
Yep.
It's 21 years ago.
Nice.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Barely aged a day in that time. Really.
It's a rugby podcast.
This is a... There wasn't any rugby in the weekend, was there?
Oh, there's a few games.
There was a couple of very good games, and one game that was just a game of rugby.
Well, it's interesting that you said last week that the Monday game for us, which is the Sunday game over in Europe, was a public holiday here in New Zealand. Well, it was kind of a cyclone day here in New Zealand, so you still would have had a chance to watch it in relative peace without having to go to the office?
Well, I don't go to the office. I work from home, so that was good. So I actually didn't wake up to watch it.
Okay.
But I watched it around about 7 a.m.
Did you know the result?
No, I didn't know the result, so I got to enjoy it. Well, enjoy is a strong word. I got to experience it for a couple of hours without knowing the results, but kind of knowing where it was going.
Right.
Like very early on.
That one had no... Well, we'll get to that one in a bit. Why don't we start with the first game?
it's apt that you're wearing green. I thought originally, for those of you who see that jersey and are NRL fans, I know you're originally. You think immediately, you think the Green Machine, Mal Meninga, Ricky Stewart, some of the great players, Laurie Daly. Oh, some great players for the Green Machine. The Canberra Raiders. That's exactly what I thought when I saw you. But it's not the Canberra Raiders.
I'm wearing a green rugby jersey for those of you not viewing. For those of you not listening, if you're not listening, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I'm wearing another MLR jersey because the MLR kicks off this weekend. Speaking of rugby,
so excited!
Seattle Seawolves. Whew. They got 2 stars on the jersey because they won it the first couple of years.
Oh, so it's like the William Webb Ellis Trophy. They get on the arm, but they get the stars.
Yeah.
Almost as prestigious.
Almost. The next level. If you can't win the World Cup.
If you can't qualify for the bloody World Cup either.
Go with the MLR. So
that's right.
This weekend, free to air on the Rugby Network. Pick a team. How about the New England Free Jacks?
What's the Boston team?
I think New England Free Jacks will be the closest team.
Okay, I'll go with the Free Jacks.
Free Jacks.
I'm a jacker from way back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that what the fans call themselves?
The Jackers. Yeah. There you go.
You a free jacker? Nah.
Speaking of green, though, the Irish, the number 1 side of the world.
Oh, they are. I thought you were about to say, speaking of jacking off.
No, I wasn't going that way.
The number 1 side of the world are the number 1 side of the world.
They still are, because they played the number 2 side of the world, the French, who were on a big winning run. The Irish had their own big winning run. They've still got theirs.
Yeah, they do. They do.
They beat France relatively convincingly in the end. But, geez, that first half
High quality.
I mean, the second half wasn't bad. But that first half was just on another level.
Outrageous.
It was unbelievable.
We're getting wildly spoiled with the standard of tries.
Yeah.
Some of these tries are freakish.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I saw Hugo Keenan's at the start with the sweet little inside ball
from Beelum.
The guy from Beelum. People say I look like him. I get that comment sometimes,
really?
And I'm like, the fat guy with the
with the beard and the cornrows.
The cornrows. He looks like some sort of non-playing character from some weird pirate game. Basically, that's what he looks like to me.
Right.
But yeah, the nice little inside ball to a steaming Hugo.
Yeah.
And he's quality Keenan, isn't
good.
he? He's very, very good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we're going to be hard to top that. And that penis try.
Damien Penaud.
Woo!
Not only does he set it up, but he manages to finish it.
And that was coming out of a period of play where they were just going backwards.
Backwards, yeah.
And they were just sort of whacking it around and making kind of rash decisions, trying to run it from anywhere. And it was. I
just love that the 2 plays of the ball prior to Penaud making that initial break is like Intermac basically running into Wayne Barnes and then just shovels the ball. And then Ramos can't even really get a hand to it, so he just slaps it and it goes into the grass. And Penaud from there is like, look at this.
I better do something. Yeah. So he just takes it up and he put it inside the 6. Who's the 6? Gillange does another lovely ball. And then the way he dissected that final gap and just that, he's got some serious jet shoes, doesn't he?
He does.
He's got some real gas.
Good player.
Very good.
Yeah. But that was the only try of the game for the French, man. It took a worldie.
And they were looking quite threatening on a few occasions in that first half, and I thought that they would score some more tries. But it also goes to show how good is the Irish defence.
I know. The fact that the French kept having to often opt for the 3. They opted for a drop goal at one point because it was just like, man, we need some points.
Yeah. Well, they were in touch in that first half.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was all to play for. What was the score at halftime?
I can't remember, but it was, not much in it.
Can I be honest with you, though?
Go on.
Didn't wake up for it. Oh, I'm a terrible person. I set my alarm.
Okay.
I drank way too much the night
As you
before.
do, yeah.
Lydia was having a girls' night. Yeah.
Okay.
So there was like 7 women in my house, and they're all upstairs, and I was like just downstairs in my little hovel, and I have just polished off a bottle of wine.
Right.
Found an old bottle of whiskey. Started digging into that guy.
Right.
And then I was like, came up here, and I was like, I better have a cup of tea because I got to wake up in 2 hours. So I had a cup of tea, and then I set my alarm. And then, you kind of wake up and you're still kind of drunk or something like that. I woke up to the alarm and I was so confused. I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why is the alarm going? Why is the alarm going? So I turned it off.
Right.
And then I woke up like about 40 minutes later.
Okay.
At about 4:15 or something like that. When I probably just on 4 o'clock. And then I was like, I was meant to wake up. And I was like, should I go?
You went back to sleep.
And I went back to sleep and then started watching it at 7 a.m.
Okay.
So then I a morning of rugby, 2 games back to back to get through.
You didn't know the results?
Didn't know
That's the key point. It doesn't really matter that much as long as you don't know the results.
What a day of sport, though. I had those 2, and then straight, a couple of hours off, and then straight into UFC 284, which was a hell of a card. I could do a whole podcast on that one.
I didn't watch any of the UFC.
Oh, Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev. One of the best super fights. Just don't get me started.
Like, was it on the same level rugby terms as that French?
Yeah,
Irish
it
game?
was.
Wow.
It was literally. It was exactly the same situation. Pound for pound number 1 versus pound for pound number 2.
No way.
No shit. Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev, and
Volkanov's an Irishman. Obviously, the other guy's French, and it was in Dublin.
Not quite. One is an Australian, the other one is a Dagestani, and it was in Perth.
More or less.
But 1 versus 2.
Okay.
And it was for the pound for pound title, basically. And, don't get me started. I want to talk about it, but there's not enough people who are going to be interested.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it afterwards.
Okay. Well,
really good.
I went to bed not early enough for that game, but I had gone to sleep for about an hour, and my son woke me up at 12:30, vomiting all over the floor.
He's got a bit of the vomit, that boy, doesn't he?
Whenever there's a big game on, he's like, right, Dad.
Yeah, God.
You'll be sick everywhere.
You need to rent out a flat during the rugby walk up, I think.
He's just going to be sitting there, but he's all right. I don't know. We all had the same food. I don't know what his problem was, but he's all right.
He's all right.
But it just meant I had slightly less sleep than I would have liked. But, I mean, it's one of those ones where if it had been a real stinker of a game, it would have been kind of hard to keep focused. But I didn't have any problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was just intense.
The biggest challenge for me is, like, actually not checking my phone.
Oh,
like,
yeah, for
throwing
sure.
my phone away, like, getting rid of it, and then just watching the game.
Yeah, just watch the game.
It's nice, you don't have to dribble through half time or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that first half was just so good. The second half was really enjoyable too.
But that first half was honestly like just one of the best halves of rugby I've ever seen.
One of the best try-saving tackles I've ever seen. Dupont's against Mbop was insane. That was just... It
had so many moments. Like a lot of games might have one moment like that. You'd be like, oh, that was bloody amazing. But this had moment after moment. Oh, yeah.
He's a pit bull.
Yeah.
The strength, he's just all muscle.
So Mac Henson's just like, and then yoink, nope. Yeah, unbelievable.
And I was kind of thinking of...
And that was your man Keenan who had helped set up that play as well.
Yeah,
Keenan tearing down the wing.
Well, they lost it. Well, Hanson flicked it off to Cannon, and Cannon teared off, did a nice little
inside
kick.
Through,
I like the look of Fiku.
Fiku was part of the disruption. Fiku's not getting the credit that Dupont was.
I think Fiku played pretty bloody well that entire game. And, like, there were actually a lot of French players that played...
Yeah, they played well. They didn't play bad. Other teams would have got beaten by a lot more.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It was an insane game. But the main takeaway that I took was France looked like a team full of superstars. Okay. You know, Fiku and Pinot and whatever, even the number 4, the Flamand and Cyril Bay, you know, and also Anton Dubon and Intermac, you know, Ramos. They're all fantastic,
right?
High quality, world class, can break a game open kind of players, special players.
Yeah,
and I was like, they've got more stars than what I can see. The Irish obviously have their own stars,
for sure,
but the Irish are a better cohesive team.
I don't think there's any team which has got the same cohesion levels that Ireland.
Yeah, the belief.
Despite the fact they've got they had a few kickers. They had Gibson Park out. They had Furlong out. They had a pretty hefty, injury.
That shows me the culture's really good and the communication's really good in that team.
Yeah,
that players can step up, slot in, and do a job and understand the processes, understand the systems, and have real belief that.
Yeah, I mean, even Sexton went off relatively early in that game, and then Ross Byrne, who's been a guy who's been kind of, I mean, the fact that he fills in for Sexton already, sets him a pretty high bar. So people give him a fair bit of stick, but no, he looked all right. He still bossed the game pretty well.
What happened to the Kiwi-born number 10?
Joey Carberry.
Where's he?
He just didn't get selected for the squad. He's just been a bit inconsistent. So, but no, that was, man.
Just number 1 and number 2 teams in the world, and the number 1 stood up, 100%.
Yeah.
Stood out.
There was a big tackle in that game. Kiwi Connection, speaking of Kiwi Connections,
the big
our
Calston boy.
Uini Wesley College boy, Uini Antonio, puts in a big hit on the hooker. Oh, that's Dan Sheehan was another guy out. So Rob Herring, the replacement, kind of. He's the
As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, bugger, it's a red card.
Yeah.
I thought when you saw it live, you were like, ooh, damn.
Yeah. I heard Wayne Barnes say over the microphone, like, oh, it's fine for me. And I was like, ooh, they're going to have a look at it.
I thought that too, but I thought that it was fine. Like, it looked like a tackle to me. Oh, sorry. By the way, gotta get this guy out. Sorry.
Place of pride.
The old Tusajiti. But like I thought, oh, that's just a great hit. And then as soon as they went to replays, I was like,
it looks worse the more you look at it.
Card. It was, like he's got one arm around, but he's got one arm sort of tucked, and there's direct shoulder contact to the hand, and he's upright.
Yeah.
I know that like there is impacts. Like, he was saying some weird stuff about impact through the chest and stuff. Of course, there were two huge human beings whose chests are like freaking 6 foot in diameter by themselves.
Yeah.
Of course there's going to be chest impact, but there was also
direct
head contact. Like, I don't want people to get red
carded. No, but that's one
But
that
like,
you looked
just
at
on the current rules, I was like, how is that not a red card? Like, you can slow it down. Like, it's clear to see there's a shoulder contact to the head with force.
I remember I still got Wayne Barnes' wording. He said,
look, does anyone want to see? Can I show these people?
That's what I write.
This is what for these people who sit there by the whiteboard watching this guy blather on. Look, this is like something someone would write in prison, like a madman. Basically,
Wayne Barnes says there's some arm. Then there's like not a high degree of danger, according to my handwriting. Some arm, some in the chest, and not a high degree of danger. Like his interpretation of maybe like not a high degree of danger is maybe a bit different from some other people's.
Yeah. Well, it's been reviewed.
It's been cited. So the fact that it's been cited, I think,
indicates that he was off the mark.
Maybe. I mean, he still may get through the citing and get off. It does happen, but the fact that he's been cited means it's certainly not a clear cut one. And I mean, if you get cited, it basically means that the reviewing people have determined that it may have been worthy of a red. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that it wasn't a red, because if France get a red card there, they go on to lose that game. Then there's the you beat the French, but you had an extra man for more than half the game, so it doesn't really count. 100%. But
no, it was 100%. It's a bit of game for it,
for sure.
So I'm definitely happy about it. I was confused by it.
Yeah. Another moment of controversy though, James Lowe, maybe a potential wee foot in touch.
Well, I just seem to defy the laws of physics that one, because he pretty spectacularly launches himself, and on the replay you see his feet go across, but usually like this is his feet and it's the ground. If something hits the ground, it trips on it and you'll fall that way, but it went like that and up. So it was like there was no friction, there was nothing stopping it. So it looked like it was going through air. But there's clearly a frame that shows...
That wasn't shown to Wayne Barnes.
The old local director, which I think is legit. I think...
How is that still a thing?
Because it's gamesmanship and there's something they can control. Like, and they can just easily say, well, why is that happening? They just say, oh, we didn't actually realise Steve had his camera on.
That can't be a thing, though.
Gamesmanship. It's home ground advantage. Like, I don't. It's like basically get a flat deck if you got tall bouncers. Get a green seamer if you've got like guys who like to noodle it about. Get a dry cracking one in the subcontinent.
It still seems a bit shitty that the TMO doesn't have immediate access to all that kind of stuff.
That is what it is, man.
I know.
Okay. Well, that's why. I don't mind a little home advantage.
Yeah. I mean, I said at the time, it kind of means like I felt that Antonio maybe got away with a fortunate yellow, and then the Irish got away with a fortunate try. So swings and roundabouts, right?
Evens it out in some
some kind of way.
I still think a red card's probably worth more than 7 points.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah, clearly
decisions going both ways anyway.
He was in touch. It looks like his foot was in touch. Like there's no distance between the thing. It did look weird in terms of the physics, like it kind of flung up, which I struggle to understand. But I don't. A couple of bit of baffling calls.
I don't want to get hung up on it though, because the game
significant moment.
Yeah, for sure. But the game itself, even without those moments,
I thought James Lowe actually came up going. I don't know.
There was a shot of him like kind of giving one of those looks like.
As soon as he got up, like Bundyaki accosted him, and like all the reserves jump all over him, and he comes out. He's like, maybe I don't know, hopefully,
Yeah.
But like, it was still wildly athletic.
Should he do the gentleman's cricket thing, and if he knew that his foot was in touch, tell the ref, or does he just need to let it play out?
No, I don't think. anyone does that in rugby. I don't think.
Occasionally, you'll see players say like, "I lost the guy. I dropped it. I lost control of it."
But they do that. They do that when it's without a doubt.
I have seen at least once or twice guys go, "Oh, no, I dropped it," and then they've looked at it frame by frame, and it's one of those ones where you still had a slight fingertip on it when the ball touched the ground and it's given. So they still review it.
I've only ever seen it when it's just like I'm held up. Like I think I've even seen Dan Coles go, "I'm held up, man. Why are we checking this?"
Right. Don't waste time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But nah, I mean, it took Ireland a while to get that bonus point.
Yeah.
Ringrose got the last one. Caelan Doris.
He's your boy, yeah.
Bro.
Yeah,
he was everywhere.
Player.
He was like getting tackled, and he's just I'm just going to throw a cut-out pass.
He outshines for me the IRB, the World Rugby Player of the Year, Van der Fleer, really.
Oh, in the last 2 games, for sure.
Caelan Doris.
For sure. I mean, Van der Fleer's been all right, but Doris has just been on another level. He's been kind of... Someone mentioned, like, in the comments that he's been kind of like peak kind of Kieran Reid-esque.
Yeah.
Like, just unplayable.
But that Ringrose try, he showed some immense power.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, did he bump off, like, basically 2 players to get over the line?
Ringrose is fantastic. Doris, I mean, in the build-up to that try, bumping off players, yeah, man, that was just...
some impressive stuff.
Yeah, like... Porter scored a try as well, which is maybe the one that's just like, all right, that was a try. Good team try, burrowing over from close range.
But they've got all this... you know, they've got enough special moments in the team and special players to do those special things when they need to, but they also have this incredible defence just to stifle the other team's special players.
Yeah.
They did it to us.
Yeah, exactly.
They've done it to the French, and you know, who's going to stop them?
Very hard team.
Who's going to stop them? The one thing, if I have any criticism of the Irish, would be like they had so many opportunities on the line where they got one, I think, where they just tried to pick and go really within the 5.
That would have been the Porter one.
And they just kept on going over and over and over, just close to the line. They really love the inside ball. They love the out to Sexton inside ball to someone coming through. But then they also were just trying to hammer away and hammer away. And they were down there so often.
Right.
Their conversion rate to try from that position, come on stats, man, what is it?
Oh, yeah, they got held up, what was it, 3 or 4 times?
Yeah, exactly. So that's not particularly good, but I just thought potentially, like, from, you know, the 50 to the 20 metre, they had some great creativity, but right on the goal line, just like a little bit of creativity there when it wasn't working. Like the French were defending stoutly on the line. For sure. They wanted to win that bloody game.
Oh yes.
So, but you know, there was just nothing. You know, sometimes you got to see what the backs have got. You know. So that was the only. If I had to nitpick, that was the only thing I thought maybe that could be an area with. Just looking at being a little bit more creative.
Yeah, most teams can't do what the French did. No. I think most times Ireland get at least 3 or 4 more tries in that game.
I've got a problem. I was so excited about that game, I smashed my beer. Talk to the camera.
Ramos kicked the drop goal.
He did.
Yeah, people are giving Ramos a bit of stick in France, apparently. But I don't know, because they've got a few very good fullbacks in France. They've got Ramos, who played phenomenally well in November. And then they've got this guy, Jaminet, who's got a big old boot in him. He's maybe not quite...
Jamie Nuts?
Yeah, he's not quite as offensively minded as Ramos, but he's got a boot. There are some French fans who are saying if they'd had Jaminet's boot in that game and been able to maybe put Ireland back into their own territory a bit more, then maybe things would have gone a bit differently.
Yeah. Well, how many kicks did he miss at goal? I think he only missed 1 kick at goal, Ramos. He's a solid... He does most things right, though, doesn't he?
I don't think he had a bad game. I just think...
It's interesting. Like that's one thing. Just with the language barrier, we don't really get into the nitty gritty of what's going on.
It's funny. Our man Rian Lowe, I think, put a comment on one of the social media platforms. Yeah, basically saying like, "Hey, there's been not a lot of talk about the refs. It's like great, like because he hates all the the ref chat at the end of the week." And someone was like, "You clearly haven't been following French social media because really." I think that they've been a wee bit frustrated with Monsieur Barnes.
Yeah. Hey, before we get on to the next game, can I make a special announcement?
Okay.
Special announcement. Next week's episode, we talked about it. We didn't briefly. We didn't quite go, but I think there's a Six Nations bye week.
Yes.
So I think we make it questions week,
Q&A,
hot topics. But I'm worried that the questions. So basically, what we're going to do, guys, is. Send write in the comments below or tweet us or put out one of your community posts asking for questions next week, and your question, and we'll answer your questions. Basically, we'll bring you up on the screen, not you actually, just your question, and we'll answer them. I'm a little bit worried they're going to be like, "Oh, what do you think of this like second division player from some rural Irish team, and you'll know, and I'll be
I won't know.
But they'll ask like really specific rugby questions. So feel free to ask rugby questions, or feel free to ask just absurd kind of distracted questions too.
Yeah, we'll go through them.
There
will be some rugby on. I'll be watching some rugby at the weekend, even if you're not.
What's the big games on the weekend?
I haven't even looked at the schedule. I just know the MLR is starting.
Is Leinster playing Munster?
The URC is, I think, doing a week. But I mean, it's one of those weird weeks where the guys who play for their kind of home countries, like all the Scottish players who play in Scotland, all the English players who play, those guys aren't in action. But like a guy like Finn Russell, who plays for Scotland, but also plays abroad for his club rugby, he has to go back to his club for a week.
Oh, really?
And then rejoin.
He plays for a French club, doesn't he?
Yeah, he plays for Racing 92.
Ooh, that's a bit.
He's joining Bath next year.
Is he really? That's a good get for Bath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Bath.
Have you?
Yeah, they've got Roman baths there.
Is that where it gets its name from? It actually is. I knew that, but I just thought
I've been to the Roman baths.
How was it?
It was good. It was about 20 years ago. I mean, and it was good. It was like the first thing I did when I went to the UK. So I was on my way to Somerset.
Okay.
Somerset, Army Farmer, Wurzel's, Tratter, Combine Harvester. Sorry, people from Somerset will understand that.
Okay.
We had a couple of days to kill before the start of the school, and we went to Bath for a couple of days. And
I heard it's a bit posh.
I don't know. It didn't feel overly posh.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's nice.
Okay.
It's nice. It just felt kind of nice.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah. I don't remember thinking, "Ooh, la-dee-da."
La-dee-da, I'm in Bath.
I just remember. I remember leaving New Zealand on the 4th of January, and it being like 32 degrees, and me sweating my nuts off on the way out, and then arriving in the UK, and I remember getting there, and it was like pitch black, and you know when you've travelled, have you been to the UK before?
No.
So when it's like 2 massive flights.
Okay.
It's like getting to China and then flying for another 12 hours.
Okay.
So and that it's 2 giant flights, and then you get there and you don't know whether you're Arthur or Martha.
Right.
And I remember coming out and it was pitch black, and I was like, "What's the time?" And someone said 3:45, and I was like, "Oh, it's 3:45 in the morning, jeez." And they were like, "No, it's 3:45 in the afternoon."
Nice.
And I was like, "Whoa."
Nice.
Yeah, different hemispheres.
That's the way that works.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I mean, it was freezing. It was just going from 32 to like 4 degrees.
Yeah,
or 5 degrees.
that's a slap in the face.
Exactly. Well, and we can't.
It's not exactly balmy here at the moment at the end of summer.
Yeah, it's been crap.
I was speaking about Finn Russell. Finn Russell played for Scotland against Wales.
Yes.
Now, last week, or the previous week, you were not that impressed with old Finn.
A 180 turnaround. 180 turnaround. He I love those players. I love the crazy Mavericks. I love the Carlos Spencers of this world. I there's something amazing about a player that you kind of know would be a dick in real life playing. I don't know. Maybe he's a great guy. I don't know.
He does like doing the poses. Have you seen his poses?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Everyone else does a hey, we won the trophy, and he just does a pose.
Yeah, maybe he's a great guy. I shouldn't say he's a dick, but you know, there's a level of arrogance there.
Yeah.
And
did you hear him in the post match?
I think I did. I think I watched it. I can't remember
Have
exactly.
they said? I can't remember the wording, but it was something about like setting up your teammates, and he was something like, "Well, someone's got to make them look good."
Yeah, I heard him say that. Yeah, exactly.
Like he may be tongue in cheek, but part of that's legit.
He made himself look good.
Yeah.
Like just his vision, his time on the ball, his confidence.
He's just so comfortable there.
Just to do the things that other players wouldn't think to do.
Or can't do, man.
But yeah, he's got crazy skill set.
Yeah.
He obviously knows he's pretty damn good, but good for him. Like knowing you're that good and pulling off. But that's the thing. You got to take. Everyone talks about his rocks a lot. He's a rocks and diamonds player, but that's a diamond weak.
Oh, for sure.
He looks like the best defenses in the world. Get broken down by things out of the normal sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
Know? And he was special. Like that flick pass to Stain to give that try that kind of pushed them over the edge in terms of it's kind of assured now. That was immense. And I'm currently writing a piece about this right now.
Okay.
And
you're committing yourself to doing another video. This is good.
I did it last week. I talked about a piece.
And then you did it.
I actually made it. I put a video out.
We need to do this. We need to get you
hard.
committed onto camera.
That was hard getting that one out. Because many things take a while. But yeah, so I'm writing a piece about the fact that Ireland's my second team,
Right.
but Wales has always been my third team.
Okay.
Because I had a Welsh girlfriend for 4 years, spent a lot of time in Wales,
Right.
I know a lot of Welsh people, and I kind of fell in love with the country and kind of really, believe in the sort of, felt that kind of Cymru vibe.
Okay.
Cymru on beef, you know what that means?
Something about Wales.
Wales forever.
Okay.
I think that's what it means. And, really, really, it was affectionate for her. But something weird happened in the weekend. When that try was scored, when Stain went over...
You got converted to a Scotland fan.
I went, fuck it. I did a little fist pump. And I was like...
Not watching it live. You're not a Scottish fan, but you were just like...
Yeah, I was like... And then I had this realisation. I was like... Am I a Scottish fan? Because it was over my third team.
Yeah.
And I think Wales are just so uninspiring that maybe they're not losing their home fans, but they're definitely losing the people who had them as their number 3 fan. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, so I'm really, really falling in love with that Scottish team in terms of the way they're playing, their audacity, real fun team to watch. Some really, really quality players. Yeah. What a great start. 2 trophies in 2 weeks, going first time in 27 years, going back to back.
Yeah.
Carter Cup. Dottie Weir trophy felt instantly significant.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought that was really, really special and a real fun game of rugby to watch. Not if you're Welsh.
First half, though, was tight.
Yeah.
The first half was a proper arm wrestle.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they got the one try through, I think, Turner, the hooker. He gets a try, then Scotland ended up getting a yellow card. Wales hit back, punished them, getting a one through Ken Owen. So, bit of tit for tat. Russell's up for the penalties.
Yeah.
He hasn't got any try assists in that first half. And then the second half, Scotland has opened a can of whoop ass.
They really, really did. And it really kind of felt... I understood what I was watching with Wales. And you know how I understood it?
Okay. I'm nervous.
You don't have to be nervous. It's normal. Being a Warriors fan, you know what it's like to support a team that loses a lot. I'm talking about the New Zealand Warriors, NRL team.
The Utah Warriors.
Exactly. I'm sure people are worried about that. They've got always got a lot of talent there, but they're perennial
losers,
underachievers.
Yeah.
Okay, and they get on these roles of they start games relatively well, but they get to a point where it's really going to be tough to get back into it, and then the floodgates just open.
Right.
And it's generally a sign of shitty culture in the team. A lack of belief, not great culture, not great, feelings amongst the players or anything like that. They just looked like they were gonna try and do their best out there, but just went through the motions a little bit. And there were a couple of things I saw out there that were a little bit alarming in terms of team culture. Is Dan Bigger a bit of a dick?
He was acting a bit of a dick.
That whole thing that he did, was it with Dyer?
Rio Dyer, yeah.
So Rio Dyer
passed him the ball.
How old is he?
He's young. He's in his early 20s.
He's early 21, 22.
Something like that.
So he catches the ball. He's got one of the leaders on the side.
The guy who kicks the ball, because Rio Dyer's not really a kicker. He's
not
a gas man.
Yeah, he's a gas man. He's out there to look good, and I think he actually kind of did look
good
when he gets opportunities. He's got the first 5, one of the steady hands in the team, and gives the ball on the inside. Dan was in La La Land, not thinking about it, got caught wrong-footed, should have been 100% expecting the ball. It wasn't a particularly bad pass. And then he acts like he completely balls out this, gives him an absolute serve, to this young man who is doing pretty much the right thing when you're the guy who's really screwed the pooch here. And he's doing that in front of Rio Dyer's family, in front of all his loved ones, and in front of hundreds of thousands of people are watching
on TV.
Giving a bollocking in front of anybody is bad. It's not a good look. Sometimes you see players have a little bit of tension, but that was an absolute bollocking. And I thought that Dan Bigger was the one who was at fault there. You've got to be expecting the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
In that sort of position. So I thought,
is it any surprise maybe that later rattled Rio Dyer right before halftime, can't catch the pass out on the wing? It's just going to increase your nerves, right? It's going to make you make more errors. The All Blacks have talked for a long time. Richie McCaw talked a lot about the old when they would get into those pressure situations at World Cups, they would just fail 100%. Mentally, which would let their skills down. Your brain lets you down, then you can't do the normal things that you do.
100%.
So
100%.
Getting a bollocking from the former captain and one of the guys you probably looked up to playing as a young man.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
Heart rate's going to go through the roof. He's going to start panicking. He's going to start like not wanting to get involved.
That's right.
Like he's not going to be like, oh, I want to make amends. Like I don't know, maybe like that's something you can look at a review, get your comms right and stuff like that. But to put that, I thought that was a really bad look, and it made my opinion of Dan Biggar kind of plummet.
Yeah, he's been copping a fair bit of stick on the old socials
for that
after that one and a few other things. Apparently, I didn't actually see it. A few people said that kind of serves Dan Biggar right for what he was saying pre-match. I think he must have been giving some stick.
I said that he was. No, I didn't say anything. No one's listening to me. I read something. I heard murmurs of the fact he was just mentioned. Scotland's have like
bad record
and starting like and just reiterated a couple of times.
Okay.
Just kind of putting the needle into.
Okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's what it is. Just a little bit of gamesmanship, but I don't know. I think that he owes Dyer an apology, and he probably owes the rest of the team an apology, and the whole the Principality of Wales. He owes an apology too. What were your thoughts on Wales?
Yeah, they look pretty bang average, to be honest. I mean, admittedly, again, I said it the week before. They did have some moments, and admittedly in this game as well, they had some times where they were, in the right field position, but they would just drop the ball, or they would get turned over, or they would lose a line out, or whatever it was. They would just have something let them down. So, I mean, they flashed it up on the screen at one point. It was like points per entry to 22, and Wales was just freaking awful because they just couldn't finish anything. And part of that's Wales, but also a big part of that is Scotland's defence was just really ferocious. Good. Yeah, their tackling percentage, like my stats, man, it was like 95 or something stupid. Yeah. Like they are just brutal.
Yeah,
they don't give much. And then when
I like the look of their hooker Turner. He's a quality player. He spent some time in the Nordic.
He did spend some time in the bin for that. Was a hit on North, right?
When
North. That was the
North
one where he
was on a knee.
Yeah,
which is always a tough one.
Yeah,
but he made contact with his arm.
Yeah, swinging arm, but. There was a bit of talk about that one as well. There's talk about every card these days, but 100%. He was that low to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. That low. Well, like, it's one of those unfortunate rugby incidents, but I still think, they've got to be punished. And that was quite rightly a yellow card. A real tough one, but still a yellow card, but also it would have been a really crappy red.
Yeah. But then, man, second half, you already mentioned the offload from Finn Russell. Then there's the cross kick to Stain when Liam Williams has gone off. So Finn Russell knows there's going to be a bit of extra space in the backfield.
Doohan was relatively quiet. The few touches.
First half, he was. Second half, he got a lot of ball.
He got a few touches that were quite nice. The guy that I liked who came on, I'm not overly familiar with, but with Kinghorn. I thought he was very dynamic.
Yeah, Kinghorn's a weird one, and that they've been trying to shoehorn him in. Kinghorn being shoehorned. I didn't do that on purpose.
Yes, he did. We talked about it. We rehearsed it. We were like, there'll be this really awesome moment.
That's a great pun. They've been trying to make him a 10 for ages.
Really? Didn't look like a 10.
No, but he's traditionally a fullback. He's an outside back. Mostly a fullback. And he's good. He's good at fullback because he's electric. Like he's got
But what was he playing, outside centre, or was he playing a fullback?
Playing a fullback because Hogg went off. Hogg went off for an HIA, so he goes into fullback. And
looked very good.
I think because they've been trying to do kind of a Damien McKenzie as the closest analogy that I can make with New Zealand rugby.
Thanks.
I did that last week when I mentioned the Calcutta Cup being like the Bledisloe.
He's just basically trying to dumb it down for me.
I wasn't trying to say like the Bledisloe is the be all and end all, and the Calcutta Cup follows along from the Bledisloe. I was just trying to say from a New Zealand rugby point of view,
when he was off
here's a competition. Which is like, it's the Six Nations, and in itself has its like a little trophy between two teams, which is what the Rugby Championship and the Bledisloe have. That was the point.
You did off here say that the Calcutta was absolute dog shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. He didn't for those people.
Yeah, you can't get the old sarcasm.
It's a tough thing, isn't it? It's a tough thing being there because like 99% of people understand a joke. And then you get that 1%
don't get it.
Who don't get it, and then they come.
Yeah.
I got my favorite comment I got this week was somebody just commented on who was going, because I just wrote the thumbnail was like, is the Six Nations special, or is it worth watching, or something like that. And then he was like, not even gonna watch this, just here to call out some bullshit. And just like, I love it.
Nice.
Like, real constructive feedback.
Yeah.
Like,
You got a lot of time on your hands.
It's like, you're not going to watch it, so you don't know what it's about. You don't know what I'm
Why'd
saying.
you click on it?
You don't know what the point is.
Understand.
But you just didn't like the thumbnail, and you just just said, I'm going to call out some. And the whole point of it was that it's special.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So Blair Kinghorn is like D-Mac in that he plays really well at fullback.
High knees.
And then the coaching staff, in their infinite wisdom, decided, hey, maybe Rugby World Cup, limited spots, we could get this guy playing a bit of 10, So then we've got one guy who's a bit of utility come Rugby World Cup. So
right.
DMAC looks phenomenal usually at fullback, and then looks he's all right at 10.
I think one of the reasons.
I think part of the reason though was also because Gregor Townsend falls out with Finn Russell a wee bit, so he kind of wants to have this guy. And to be fair, Kinghorn sometimes plays some good rugby for his club at 10, but he's not Finn Russell.
No, he's not.
Okay.
So the question I have for you, Mark, like we're both wildly impressed with the Scots right now. And I've found out that I'm a fan somehow.
Okay.
They've swayed me, which I'm sure means a lot to them.
Yes.
It really does. Can they win the Six Nations? And can they get a Grand Slam? And how big would those things be for Scottish rugby right now?
The trouble the Scots have got is 2 upcoming fixtures. One is away in France. And I don't know if it's the next game, but one of them is away in France. I think it's the next game, but I could be mistaken. Do let me know.
Yeah.
And then the French Rovers are going to be hurting after that loss. They're going to be baying for blood. Scots, if they want to keep their form going, can they go 3 in a row? That's the big question. But then even if they did beat the French away, then they've got to play Ireland, albeit at home. But Scotland's record over Ireland in recent times is just plain terrible. It's really, really, really bad. So,
to the point it's psychological.
Like they're going to be underdogs for both of those games. It's probably where they're going to like being. They don't want to be. They're having that extra pressure of being favourites, but you need to get at least one win among those 2 if you're going to be a contender. You can't really lose 2 games and win the Six Nations. So you need to win one of the 2.
Yeah, right.
And then potentially hope that someone else loses a game.
Yeah, right.
Maybe Ireland lose at Twickenham or something like that. So. It's certainly a tough ask. I always look at
but it's always going to be a tall order.
Yeah, for sure. If they're putting themselves in a good as position as they can be, they've gone 2 weeks in, 2 bonus point wins, 1 more win of those next 2 games. Plus, they've still got Italy to come in hand as well. So one of the Scottish fans mentioned to me, it'd be very Scottish to beat France away, to beat Ireland at that home game, and then somehow lose to Italy to throw away the Six Nations. That would
shaping Scottish.
That would be the ultimate Scottish result.
Right. So obviously it's a big ask, but it was always going to be a big ask. The fact that they've achieved this much, 2 trophies, 2 weeks, that needs to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And you know what's pissing me off a little bit as well? They're number 5 ranked, aren't they?
Yes.
And they're on our side of the draw.
If they get out of their pool, they could be one of the teams we potentially play.
So the top 5 teams are only 2 of them are going to make semi-finals.
So Ireland's 1, France is 2, New Zealand's 3, South Africa's 4, Scotland's 5. Yeah, they're all in the pool. Yeah, that's right.
Well, Italy.
Yeah.
Good luck, Italy. But I will also say, for my money, not to throw any shade towards the Irish, we've talked about how great they are. They looked better. The Scots looked better against the Welsh than the Irish did. From 35-7, was that this final score?
Yeah. It's a bigger result.
And the Welsh would have been desperate to win that game.
For sure. I guess the Scots had the home game, which is a difference. But
what was the end score? 30-12 or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, right. All right, Viva la Scotland. I'm sure that's what they say over there. You know what the national animal of Scotland is? I think it's a unicorn.
Nah.
I think it's a unicorn.
Okay. That's great. We've got a flightless fat chicken, so... Yeah, I guess.
Well, the Welsh, one of my favourite things about them is they've got a mythical beast on their flag.
The dragon.
The dragon.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Go unicorn. My daughter will become a Scotland fan, for sure. She'll love it, if I tell her that.
Okay, there was one more game in the weekend.
England hosted the Italians.
Yes,
there was a little bit of talk about that game. Oh, England kind of poor. And then the Italians played really well against France.
I somehow thought just because I was now watching the Six Nations that it was suddenly
every game's got a sprinkling of magic on it.
Yeah, because Tony's watching in Auckland while there's a cyclone going on outside.
Yeah.
And so I went into it with higher hopes than I should have. I think, thinking, boy, they pushed one of the best teams in the world. France pretty close last week,
right?
And and I was really pulling for the Italians to really show.
I think most neutrals probably were.
Yeah, 100%. But as soon as we got 3 or 4 scrum penalties on the trot,
and the scrums were slow. Dolman didn't get any kind of snappy pace to the game.
He was critical as anything on the Italians, and I think some of those were 50-50 calls for my money. But yeah, maybe I'm obviously a little bit biased because I was one of them. But for sure, hats off to the English. They were by far and away the better team and deserved to win that game. But they got those scrum penalties were massive for the momentum at the beginning of the game, and the Italians just couldn't make it back. It was just a foregone conclusion after 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, England did well. They got the scrum penalties, like you say. They got field position. They scored some maul tries. Yeah. Their maul was effective, I think, 3 of their tries.
Not too many maul tries in the Six Nations so far, up until that game.
Yeah, not really. I mean, the Italians got a nice one, if you can call it a maul try, where they got it out to Capuzzo last week, and then they got the penalty try. But, the England just had their maul going. Yeah. So, it's a weapon. The English girls did it in the World Cup. So
why... I did a tweet this week, and I don't like reciting my own tweets. Do I not like it? Well, I'm doing it. I said that getting excited about an English win is like trying to enjoy a 2-year-old's birthday party when you're hungover. Like, it's hard to do. But, like, in this capacity, I was like, okay, they did well. I should celebrate them in some way. Like, I love England. I lived in England. I love English people. Like, they are such a good laugh. Right. They're really, really good folks. But for whatever reason, when it comes to the English teams, especially the English rugby team, everybody's just like, fuck those guys.
I think there's a few factors with that.
Is it our heritage?
I think part of it, I mean, obviously there's a history. England's got history with a lot of countries, but part of it's like guys like Clive Woodward just come across like a real prick. And that's the image you get. And sometimes the English rugby media, which is not always a reflection of the fans, just like the New Zealand rugby media doesn't necessarily reflect New Zealand rugby fans. Like, New Zealand rugby media can be quite arrogant. So people think, all New Zealand fans are really arrogant. I don't think most New Zealand fans are. Obviously some are. But I think the same thing is true with the English rugby media. They can be really up their own backsides, basically.
I thought the commentary for the most part in the Six Nations has been really quite enjoyable.
Right.
One of my favourite lines, we didn't go back to it, I'm sorry I didn't mention it, but when Pino scored, he said... he had a cracker of a line, the commentator. He was like, never give a vampire a taste of blood, and that's exactly what he is. He's a vampire. And I was like, what is he talking about? This is so good, though. Never give a vampire a taste for blood, because that's exactly what he is. He's a vampire. And I was like...
That's left field. That's unicorns and dragons left field.
That's right in that. That's right in my wheelhouse. I was loving that.
Nice. Well, we had the same because I mean everyone gets different commentary teams depending on where you're based.
I'm going to fill yours up.
You go. People get different commentary teams depending on which broadcaster you're on. But we had the same commentators as last week for the Italian game. So Ryle Nugent is the Irish guy who couldn't say Capuzzo. He was saying Capuzzo, but he got it right. Someone must have had a word with him that he wasn't quite getting it right.
Maybe checked out a 2 Cents video.
I don't think so.
Could have.
But he was getting it right.
Thousands and thousands of people watching.
He was getting it right. So good on him. I mean, everyone makes a mistake. People give me feedback all the time. This name is not said that way. It's said that way. It's a silent S or whatever. Try to take it on board. Like, that's all you can do, right? So I would have thought you would have got it right as a professional commentator commentating on the current breakthrough player of the year. But... at least he got it right.
I said
better late than never.
I said in my video that I said child prodigy on his 12th birthday.
Nice.
He's got to try. Nice. I was happy with myself.
He is a youthful looking chap.
He's a baby.
Yes. But Italy didn't play that well in the first half. Couldn't stop the English maul. Scrum wasn't getting going. And they just didn't look that threatening. And Owen Farrell was playing 10 for England, and he kept trying these kicks through. And having just watched the Scotland game before with the cross kick to Duhart and the cross kick to Carl Stay and all these little dinky kicks, and I'm like,
didn't quite have the finesse.
You're not quite the same. Yeah, you tried one to, I think it was like Malins, and it just didn't go.
I thought they looked better for having a big brute, Ollie. Is it Ollie?
Ollie Lawrence.
Yeah. I think having a big brute is the centre.
We were speaking about, I don't know, Bath. We were talking about Bath earlier.
Bath.
Finn Russell going to Bath next year. Ollie Lawrence plays for Bath.
That'll be a nice little
tasty combo.
1-2 combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked like the goods, and I think probably if we just had a measure of talent, Marcus Smith, Owen Farrell is a more talented pairing, but a more practical, better rugby pairing is one of the two, either Marcus or Owen.
At 10.
And
then put
and then
Lawrence.
Putting it out.
Lawrence is usually 13, but he played well at 12.
Yeah, he was bloody good. He gave them some go forward ball, gave them some great quick ruck speed in the middle. They got to play off that, and they didn't. And the Italians just couldn't match that physicality in the midfield there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know I thought the Italians played better at the beginning of the second half. Than they
for
did.
sure. Second half, they won the second half. I think by 2 points. They had some. Negri, the number 6.
Oh, that was a hit.
Oh, on Farrell. Yeah,
that was
tasty.
hit.
But he had some good hits in that game. Generally,
total legal smashing. Love it.
Yeah, Farrell didn't
a real
appreciate
smash
that.
and bro.
Yeah,
the crowd goes wild.
That was tasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had some big carries. Rutzer, the big lock, had some good carries. Kapowatso still looked slick at the back. He was trying to make something from nothing at times, but
didn't have a lot to work with.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
They were kind of on the back foot for most of
that
game.
And it was just like, I was like, oh, at least they're not, they didn't do what Wales did, where they just...
They didn't capitulate.
Yeah, to let the flood doors open or anything like that.
But they never got close. There was never edge of your seat. It was
never looked like it was out of, in doubt in any way. So that was the thing that would kind of was like, I was just like, it was Monday morning. And I was like, I've got to get to a meeting at 8:30. And then I was fast forward a little bit. And I was like, it's just a bit of a dirge.
Yeah, after I watched that game, because I got up at 4 o'clock to watch it, I was thinking to myself at the end of the game, I was like, was that shitty? Because I'd seen the previous 2 games like the day before, and I was like, those games were phenomenal. It wasn't bad. I was thinking like it's like a C+ or a B game. Like it's fine. And putting it into context, it's England's second game under a new coach. They're still working new partnerships. They're still working new strategies. It's not going to be the finished article. And Italy, in previous years, if they'd had 2 yellow cards away at Twickenham, they would have got beaten by 50 or 60 points. So the fact that it finishes 31-14 is not too bad.
I think the fact you look at it comparatively to the rest of the games in the Six Nations so far from both weekends, that's why it feels like it's not satisfying. But you're quite right, it just felt like another game of rugby. And like, I've watched plenty of games like that as an All Black fan where we have won convincingly and it's never really been in doubt and walked away wholly and completely satisfied.
That's right, buzz it.
But like a neutral would be like,
didn't get up at 4 a.m. to watch that.
So I think if you're an England fan, you got to be happy with that. Like, first one for Borthwick, I still think they played pretty damn well against the Scots the week before, despite having a loss.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Scots have just been playing that bloody good. Yeah. That's why I'm daring to dream.
Right.
That's why they've got me on board. I'm daring to dream.
Right.
I dared to dream about the Black Ferns, didn't I?
You did.
And I'm daring to dream. Like, I want Ireland to win. They're my team. Mm-hmm. But, like...
If they don't, you'd rather see Scotland
I'd
win.
love to see Scotland. Okay. And to be honest, if it comes down to Ireland and Scotland in a crucial game for the thing, I'd be like, there's a part of you just wanting going for the underdog and stuff, and it would be an interesting internal battle, which I'm sure everyone will be really interested in terms of what's happening with Tony at the Sports.
Exactly.
But I think the English did play relatively well against this, pretty damn well. That was just a really high quality game.
They just missed some tackles and some wonder moments, man.
They looked far more convincing than the French did against the Italians.
Right.
The
Italians struggled with the penalty count and whatnot.
So I don't think if you're an English fan, you can be too upset.
Right.
You're still in it. You've still got a chance to win the Six Nations.
You needed a bonus point win. You got the bonus point win.
A lot of bonus points. Did everyone get the bonus point?
Ireland did, Scotland did, and England did. Yeah, that's right. So what's maybe crucial in the overall context of the Six Nations is the fact that France didn't get a bonus point. They didn't get a losing bonus point, which may cost them because, in the scheme of things, if every team drops a game,
is there an opinion on bonus? Because bonus points to me feel like a very Super Rugby sort of something the human.
The Six Nations were quite late adopters of the bonus point.
How do they feel about it?
I think the main thing they were worried about at the time.
I just want to point something out. Yeah. Like, we've been in a cyclone for the last 3 days. It's been going absolutely wild with wind and rain.
We can hear the birds outside.
It's actually
birds. It's the middle of the night, Mark.
I literally...
There's no birds. What are you talking about?
There's crickets. I was standing on my deck just out there looking over the mighty Waitemata. I saw a tree get blown over. A big old tree that had been there for 70 years get blown over today. And it's...
it's
There's
peaceful.
No wind.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. This is exciting. Okay, that's a total.
What they were worried about was the fact that you could get a grand slam, like if you won every game without a bonus point try.
Yeah.
And then if another team got wins in every game but one, and then got bonus points in every game, they would actually have more points than the team that got the grand slam. So they adjusted the rules that was like a grand slam is automatically worth like a couple of bonus points, so you can't mathematically be beaten. So they were late adopters.
Okay, well, I guess that is a kind of an good point. Yeah, the bonus point is a weird one, but I think it is a good thing for the fan, like just to encourage more attacking rugby. And I think that was probably one of the things that was holding up the Northern Hemisphere from getting a broader reach to more fans was just the slow nature of the games.
Yeah, you can't say anything like that about these games.
They've just been crackers, absolute crackers, and tournament for tournament, better than this, better than the Rugby Championship.
Better than the MLR.
Well, it's tight with the MLR. It's tight.
We'll see once we get this weekend's games underway.
I hope the Canberra Raiders do great this year. Really do. Hope they go well. Speaking of funny rules, have you been? We haven't talked about this beforehand. Been across there's been a bit of news with the NZR and Super Rugby. New rules coming in to speed up the game.
Something about shot clocks, which other leagues are already doing.
Shot clocks.
5 seconds for the rucks, I think, which is a new one because I think mostly it's now. I think it is now 5 seconds from when the ref says use it.
Yeah.
Like use it doesn't actually mean you have to use it now. Use it means you've got 5 seconds from when he says use it. I think it's going to be 5 seconds from when the ruck is formed, which is a huge difference.
Yeah. And there is also streamlining the TMO process.
Okay.
So they're only
going to get a bunker?
Not a bunker, but they're only allowed to go to the TMO for clear and obvious foul play or something like that. Or something along those lines.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Yes.
And then also things are going to be looked at in the background without going to the screens and shit like that.
That's one where everyone, maybe this is a good one for people to like give feedback on, or maybe some kind of question, but like maybe we could talk about it next week. A spectrum. If there's a spectrum of like, I want to stop everything to get every decision right, or I want to get it kind of. Yeah, I don't even want a TMO. Like the first season of MLR.
I don't want humans involved in sport anymore. I don't even want them to play.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you fall on the spectrum?
I just want my AI team to win, basically. Yeah. So yeah, that's right. Next week, so what do you? Should
we save that for next week?
We'll save that for next week. Okay. So yeah, next week is question week. Q&A. It's going to be a real boomer. And I hope the more absurd the question, the more likely I am to sort of want to answer it and read it out. But probably if you've got Mark here as well, and he'll be on it, answer and give some.
I'll keep you on the straight and narrow.
Keep me on the straight and narrow, and I take you off course.
There you go.
Yeah. That's how this podcast works, essentially.
That's pretty much it.
We did have one small technical issue, but hopefully we can edit around that today. They may not even know.
The power of movie editing. Movie magic.
High quality stuff. I really hope that guy who called us girls is going to comment. Because he
always comments.
He'll love this. He's the one guy, apparently Mark's told me about him before. He's just got one guy who just like...
guy who just always comes and comments on the videos. Not every video. It's random. It's sporadic. But comes on... automatically leaves some kind of shitty comment, but it's nothing racist, it's nothing abusive. So he gets in there. It's just like he's just being a bit of a dick, and I'm not going to block someone for that. But he fishes. He's a king fisherman. He fishes people for comments, and people bite. People bite like crazy. Don't bite.
No, bite away. It's good for the algorithm.
Good for the algorithm, I guess.
Yeah. Can we part the kimono on their YouTube comments a little bit for the people at home? Like, you know how. If you're somebody who wants to get on and just like call me a fat piece of shit or just really go on at me, because some people do. The sad thing about your comments, I love them. Like, I really don't have a problem with them. They really kind of make me laugh. Nobody else ever sees them. They go to this field within YouTube, like how potentially offensive comments.
If you use a lot of swears,
if you swear, or even if you're just threatening, and like they can kind of pick up like
the algorithm stuff. Automatically picks up some comments and puts it in a held
for review, and then I click on one of my favorite things to go, and I get excited. I'm like, oh, I got an offensive comment, and I click on it, and it's just some guy going, who is this? And I'm like, that really kind of feeds my soul.
Nice. You love it.
Yeah, I do. It's good fun. Like, so if you are making those comments, like, you're good for you if you're venting, getting it out of your system, whatever.
I get the feeling people who leave those kind of comments haven't watched this far through the video.
Yeah, probably not. They're probably still going to be there. But yeah, held for review. Do you look at your held for review
Very rarely, occasionally, but...
Nah. Is it weird that I kind of find them enjoyable on a sick level of just like, oh God, look at this guy?
See, I used to get those comments when I first started.
Yeah.
But I think people know. Yeah, if you're watching rugby videos, you either know, I'm not watching that fucking dick with the whiteboard, or, you know.
Yeah, it's usually folks who are coming on you the first time, but like...
They don't know what this is about, and they don't like it.
They come
and they want to tell you, I don't like you.
They come on my
What
channel.
do you do when you get to a YouTube video? You're like, that looks kind of interesting. I click on it, and it's something that you're like, this is shit. I don't want to watch it. What do? Do you leave an angry comment?
No, I just click off.
You just go away.
I go away. I leave very few comments on anything. I don't think before I I don't think before I was a YouTuber I ever left a single comment on anything. I remember very early YouTube I fucked up once by leaving a comment on, and I think it was like a written link. Do you know written link? Do you know those guys?
No.
Like,
the Monday, whatever, like happy morning something.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Those
yeah.
American guys. One's got glasses.
Yeah, that's right. And then I wrote, it's like 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
And then I was like, would have been like 24, 25. And they watched their video and I was like, because I, kind of find it funny or whatever. And then I wrote in the comment section, thinking it was the search bar section, and being a horny little boy, I wrote like cute chicks or something like that, or like cute girls or something like that. And then I just went enter, and that was my comment. And I was like, like that was my closest experience with the YouTube comments.
Did you delete your comment?
I don't think they even had the function in 2007.
Like you were committed.
Committed to calling written link cute girls.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. But that's was a totally unrelated little anecdote that probably didn't need sharing, but I shared it anyway. So I hope you enjoyed that. So next week's episode, Q&A. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Best league, URC, Premiership, Super Rugby, MLR,
NRL,
Top 14,
NRL. Any
rugby union, man. Goodness
any
gracious.
UFC questions? Yeah, but, man, seriously, it was so good. It was so well. It was a sad ending, but it was just one of the best fights ever. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching. If you are listening, we really do appreciate it. But if you would like to listen to this podcast, you can listen on Spotify.
Yes.
Where else can you
Google
listen?
Podcast, Stitcher,
iHeartRadio.
there you go.
Wherever else you listen to your podcast.
It's honestly convenient for the car. I don't listen to that many podcasts, but sometimes if I know I'm going to drive somewhere, download a podcast, chuck it on. You know, if you know you're going to be in the car for...
I drive a lot, so I listen to a lot of podcasts.
For sure. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I do. I always
You don't have to use your data.
I listen
You're a
to
stingy guy like me.
Yeah, you are a stingy guy.
Download it.
I listen to podcasts when I'm mowing the lawns.
Do you mow your own lawns?
What do you think? I pay someone to turn up here and mow the lawn?
You seem like that kind of guy.
I don't pay anyone to mow my lawns. Although my partner has been mowing the lawns far more than I have recently.
Why am I not surprised?
Well, she enjoys it, and like
She enjoys it, yeah.
she's got the time, and she's been mowing the lawns. But yeah, I mow the lawns a bit. Yeah. We're an equal opportunity kind of couple. All right, well, this has been another podcast.
I got no beer left.
I'm sorry, I drank your beer today.
It's alright.
That was a really weird way to show.
Left-handed handshake.
We just held hands for a second.
Okay, it's Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
So just want to answer the rest of this podcast. Just on Valentine's Day, look at your lover. Embrace them. Yeah, it's a little bit clammy, but thank you very much for watching.
I get cold hands because I'm tall. Like I get like the length the blood has to go to get to my fingertips.
Yeah,
I
they
get
are.
cold hands and feet.
You get cold extremities.
I get chilblains in winter.
Really? Chilblains in winter. All right. On that note, goodbye, everybody.
Take care.
I don't know.
No chilblains because it's warm.